Welcome to another premium session. This one's going to likely be our last one for 2023. So we'll be doing a bit more of a recap of the year, how things have gone, how have some of my calls been over the course of the year, and also just some recent TA regarding Bitcoin and Render. And we might have a quick look at Sweat and also what I've been doing the past week or so. We'll jump into the charts. The first thing that I want to touch on is regarding stocks. A lot of a lot of people within the crypto scene or investing and trading scene have been, I would say, quite bearish in my opinion over the past 12 months regarding stocks and which way they're going to go. I've been quite open and against that trend, and my thoughts have been that we're in a bull market and we're likely to see new highs across world economies. We can look at a couple. We'll go to the UK to begin with. Just look at this on a monthly scale because it will be easier. So the UK printed a new all-time high back in February, and it's been experiencing a bit of a pullback since. This slowdown here has been from October last year. It hasn't even gotten close to printing a lower low on a macro time frame. It actually looks like it's starting to come back up again. I suspect that this is probably has a lot to do with SPX and the NASDAQ grinding up and their streak of green candles the past few weeks. So the UK 100 all-time high. We can go and look at Japan. Look at the Nikkei. This one I'm going to actually zoom out quite a bit more. So the Nikkei has been in a massive bull market for quite a while. It did get a bit of a drop with COVID, but it's recovered ever since, and it's just been making higher highs. It's actually encroaching on the all-time high from back in October 1989. That's actually the year that I was born. It's been in a massive bear market since then for about 20 years, and now it's grinding up, and it doesn't look like it's really stopping. Something to note with Japan is that their debt to GDP ratio is about tenfold of that of the States' debt to GDP ratio. So when we had the big debt scare earlier on in the year, it was, whilst it's not great, like having such massive debt to GDP is certainly not a good thing. It wasn't the end of the world. I feel that it was a lot of scaremongering, and Japan has sort of proved that by having tenfold the debt to GDP ratio and still moving up on a macro scale. Like, this is 14 years of up with pullbacks along the way, but it's 14 years of up. There's no lower lows since 2009. We'll move to NASDAQ. I'll just go back out to monthly scale. So the NASDAQ has today printed a new all-time high. Literally this morning, today for people in Europe and in the States, and this overnight or this morning for myself. This is something that I was very keen on all year. When we had the big pullback through September, August, it was a bit deeper than what I thought it was going to be. And so I sort of thought that we weren't going to get the all-time high at that point. I was still open to the idea, but I was more so wanting to close above this top here at 1,600 points, which we recovered the entire downtrend within a 1 month period plus change. It just goes to show how bullish the market actually is. Like when we had this 3 month period of retracement, even with myself, I was thinking, oh, this is getting a bit deeper than what I thought. And then to just annihilate those 3 months of downtrend within a month was pretty insane. So it really doesn't surprise me that we have managed to make an all-time high this year. Although they have left it to the last minute, it's happened. We'll go over to the SPX. So we are on the verge of making an all-time high. All-time high sits at around 4,820 points. We are right now at 4,760. I think we might be able to get over the line before the end of the year. It's only a few days left before Christmas. My conservative approach when we had this pullback, when we were having the pullback, I thought that we were going to stop around 4,200. If we were to stop at 4,200 in September, I was of the opinion that we were still going to make an all-time high towards the end of the year. When we pull back further down to 41.20, I sort of changed my stance a little bit, and I was going to be happy if we finished the year above 4,600 points, which is at these tops here, because that would then continue the momentum, would provide a higher high in this period here. But it looks like, it's been stronger, just as the NASDAQ was. It didn't quite erase 3 months of downtrend in 1 month, but it got pretty damn close. It's bullish. There's no doubt about it. People that have been bearish through this period and waiting to break this top to get into the market are waiting too long. Once we break through the top, we might see a bit of a run, but it's going to pull back again. And if they're DCAing into this when it goes for a run up, they're going to be in the negative when it has a pullback. And it will have a pullback. It always has a pullback at some point. Whereas if you've been DCAing during this period, you're in profit. I mean, my stock portfolio right now is sitting at around 11% up, or 12% up, I think it might be. And I've got 17% exposure to Asian stocks, which is heavily weighted towards China. And we'll have a look at the China, at the HSI in a minute, and you'll see why it's important to know that my portfolio is still up 11%, keeping that in mind. So SPX, doing great. It's on the right trajectory. I think this bull market is going to continue for a while longer yet, and it's looking good. I'll go into HSI. So this is the China stock market. It's been in a downtrend. I feel like this here is the bottom, and I've been DCAing this entire move. So it is still bearish, but I feel like we're forming a bottoming pattern to now start looking at making some higher highs come the new year. Why is my mindset like that? China is different to the rest of the world in that being that they actually don't have an inflation problem. They have a deflationary problem. The government is printing money there already. They're injecting money into the economy, and the rate of injection is increasing. So when they stimulate the economy, we saw it with COVID, everything crashed. Governments around the world printed like they haven't printed before, and we saw a massive recovery, a big boom. I suspect something similar is going to happen in China, and they're going to have a big boom. And there is a lot more upside here to China, to the HSI than what there is to like the NASDAQ or the SPX, which are breaking all-time highs. They're going to be going into discovery. They could still definitely grow, but China's a long way off their all-time high. They're actually, they're about 50% drawdown from their all-time high. So that they've got all that growth to the all-time high before we even worry about what happens after the fact. They may not get up there, but it just shows that there is a lot more growth potential. I mean, even just looking at old tops, we've got this one here at 22.5, which is quite easily achievable. The HSI moves very quickly, but then the next level above is at 32. It just had a massive red fall, so it can go up just as quickly. So overall, stocks are looking quite good. I'll just have a quick look at the DAX. So I might chuck this out onto the weekly because I've left markings in here. So the DAX has printed 4 all-time highs this year. 4. And their government back here in towards the end of April, start of May, declared that they're in a recession. How can you be in a recession but still be printing all-time highs in the stock market? After they made the 3rd all-time high and they finally got a pullback, that's when you got the I told you so's. The I told you so's are in this period here. And then down here, that's it. We're back in a bear market. This recession is going to be longer. It's going to be deeper, and bang, it's just straight up to make another all-time high. It's actually mental seeing how the markets work and seeing how the media works to try and manipulate the thinking process and the thought process. Even, I'm not sure of the ticker name. We'll see if we can. The Brazilian stock market. I'm not sure of the ticker. Brazilian stock market made an all-time high only last week as well. So it's going from leading economies to second-rate countries making all-time highs. It's just happening throughout, and I feel it's being led by the US. They're the leading world economy. Whilst we have seen some of these European nations make some all-time highs earlier on in the year, it doesn't surprise me. But I think we'll see the US lead us all into quicker gains and more gains in the new year. There we go. That's a crazy chart. There's not a lot of previous data. It starts in 2022. This ticker, but it hasn't just made an all-time high, or we don't know what the data is back here, but it's absolutely smashed this top. By 10%. It's actually up from this top here. So yeah, Brazil is doing great when it comes to stocks as well. We'll just dive into perhaps the euro just quickly. Won't spend too much time in here, but the euro is coming into some very key levels on a macro view. I'll go out to a monthly. As we can see here, I've got this channel. It's started back in 2017, and it's been in a macro downtrend ever since, with a massive capitulation, multi-month capitulation throughout COVID, towards the end of COVID. But now we've started to see a bit of strength come back into it and a bit of a bounce. And I've been saying the past maybe 3 or 4 months that I feel like we could be changing trend here on the euro. Felt like we could be coming into an uptrend now. Part of the reasoning behind that is towards the end of the real estate cycle, the US dollar loses its strength, loses its value, and the euro is its biggest competitor. So money's going to flow. Money's going to flow from the US dollar into stocks, into the euro, into other currencies in the world, and it's coming quite close to decision time. Might not see it until Q1, but I think we might break out of this channel. And I've got this level here highlighted at $1.14, because that's the first key level that I'm interested to see how the euro reacts. I would like to see a slice through it. This is on a monthly time frame. A slice through it. It can close back below and have a bit of a retrace, but if it pushes through it, then that's going to sort of indicate that the trend's going to continue up. If you ever do some back testing of the euro, and it can be over really any time frame, weekly, daily, monthly, even 4 hours, when you draw fibs, it reacts off the 618 level very, very precisely. It'll go up, it'll touch the 618, won't go through, maybe to the golden pocket, the 0.65 at the absolute most, but then it'll have a heavy retrace. And that's been happening through and through. But I did notice on a lower time frame, I think it was on the weekly or the daily, it sliced through the golden pocket. And ever since then, it's been showing a lot more strength. So next year is going to be very interesting for the euro. I'm keen to see it break out and see where it can go. On a monthly time frame, we want to see that this low doesn't get broken, and we want to see this high get broken. But that could take, that could take over 12 months. I mean, that's from the high was in actually Jan 21, and then the low came in September 22. So that's over 18-month period. That's about a 20-month period from high to low on a monthly time frame. So we could see the same sort of time frame to get to peak. That would put us out to around June, July next year, till we see the peak before we see a macro pullback. But it's something to just be aware of, and it can be a good indicator of what's happening in the cycle, and it can be confirmation as well for what's happening in the cycle. If we do start to see this breaking out, then that sort of suggests that the real estate cycle is on track, and things are starting to come to an end in the real estate cycle. So I'll be covering a lot more around that as time goes by next year. Now, moving over to Bitcoin. And we can go onto lower time frames, actually. So we had a decent dump the past few days over the weekend, leading into Monday, the weekly close. And it got a nice bounce. It's almost a double bottom. It is hard because it didn't quite get down there to 4,200. Then on the bounce up that we had, we didn't quite make a high either. So this is just ranging more or less, and it's a pretty big range, really. It's about $3,000 range from high to low. I did post in the server some thoughts about Bitcoin. So this was yesterday morning, closing a 4-hour or 12-hour time frame above 42K. We'll see this go back to the prior range around 42.8 to 43.6. Maintain below and we will remain short-term bearish. 42K area is key, as it is the MA20 and EMA21 on both 4-hour and 12-hour time frames. So at the time we were at 45.6 when I posted that. 41.6, sorry. And we'll just go into the 4-hour. So I was in that candle there that I posted it. Next candle, boom, we went straight through, and we actually closed the day at 42.8, which was above on the 4-hour, and also on the 12-hour we got above, and we went to the range high for 43.55. We'll just call it 43.6. It sounds better, and that's what I said where we were going to go to, and it's received rejection ever since. Why is 43.6 an important level? 43.6 is an important level because it was a prior range support. This range, this is like a PO3 setup where you have a range, you drop down into a smaller range, or you might pop up into a smaller range for a short period of time, and then you pop back down into the range that you were in previously before it chooses a direction. So 43.6 was a key level. As support, smashed through it after several attempts, and it's come back up and tested it, and it got rejected all the way down to the low that we saw on Monday. Come back up, and it's been rejected again. So what do we want to see today, or what's going to help us with the direction of where we could be going? We can go back to our 12-hour and 4-hour chart to help us in that regard. We want to see for bullish momentum to continue. We want to see the daily, because that's the next 12-hour close. We want to see that close above 42.4 to remain this bullish momentum in this uptrend. And for this to go back to test the lows, we want to see the daily close below those levels, below 42.2 more or less. If we get stuck somewhere in the middle, then it's quite indecisive, and you lose your edge or probability of the direction going up or going down. It becomes more 50-50. And we can also go to the 4-hour to sort of get a bit more of a tighter gauge of what's going on, because the moving averages are a bit more tighter. So again, above 42.2, uptrend should continue. Below 42.1, we'll call it, downtrend should continue. In between, and it's indecisive. But it does look a bit bearish. We can check some volumes actually. Sorry, I'll just get Binance up. I like to check volumes on Binance. There's not crazy volume here on this drop down. Why is RSI out there? You know, we've seen 50 mil of volume on its peak there. 65, that's starting to get a bit better. So this has the potential to just be a fake out as well. On the run up, we saw 80 million at the top. That's, anything under 100 mil has the potential to be a fake out. Anything over 100 mil, and you're likely to see continuation. It's not a hard or fast rule, and there's not it's not a technical level, but it's just something that I've noticed. If it's under 100 mil, it tends to reverse quite easily. If it's over 100, you tend to get a sustained run. And even out of the low, or starting to get out of the lows, we saw 67 mil. This was the lows back here. So they're only 50 mils as well. I mean, there's a lot of sustained volume. I will give it that. Over the past sort of 48, 72 hours, we can see that on the 4-hour chart. You can see how the volume's picked up here, whereas back here there was a lot less volume over the 4-hour periods. And definitely volatile times, no doubt about that. I'm still very keen to see where Bitcoin ends up at the end of the month or the yearly close. This 42.3 level is extremely important. We've never closed a pre-halving above it, a pre-halving month above it on a monthly candle. So I can't see why this is going to be any different, but living through the price action, it certainly has me skeptical that the level's going to hold. But until it is broken, one day it will. But until it is broken, we need to sort of urge on the side of caution here and plan around what has historically happened. We use what's happened in history to educate ourselves and predict the future. But we also need to be open to the fact that sometimes those predictions aren't always going to be right. Something that's been happening 100% of the time is eventually going to crack. It's going to have a loss at some point. Could it be this time? Maybe. But until it does break, I'm going to say that we're going to close the year below that level. So I did want to have a look at render. And I'll just go into Discord because I did do a post about render. All right. So this is something that I posted back up in the middle of November. And I was open to the idea of rejecting from this this golden pocket, or if it pushes through, going above and breaking out the channel and then breaking back in before falling away. So let's go in and have a look at what's happened. So it's come up and it's broken the channel. And then it's come back, broke the channel, nearly hit $5, but then we've come back down and it's rejected on the top of the channel here, came back down. And this was the move here that I was waiting for. Because it goes up, leaves the channel, comes down, and now comes up, tests it before it fades away. Which has pretty much played out nearly perfectly. These fibs here is actually drawn from the high from when it left the channel to the low that it produced here. I did have some short orders in here. I think my first short was at the top of the golden pocket at 4.56, and then I had another one at 4.6 because I thought it's probably going to come through and test the actual top of the channel before fading. Wasn't to be. This actually happened close to the 4-hour close last night, which I was already in bed. Hence why I only had limited orders and I missed the move. But yeah, it's played out nonetheless, and we should start to see this now taper away a bit. On a macro or on a 4-hour chart, We want to see this low here get broken to see a continuation of the downtrend. Or if it maintains above this level, we may see it re-break the channel and start testing this high at nearly $5. But I just wanted to show that, we come up with ideas almost a full month in advance of what could happen. First idea didn't play off. Second idea, so far, looks to be playing off. So I didn't get the trade, but it's sometimes good to just plan these ideas without even taking a trade, and you can just see whether they come off or not, and it sort of reinforces that what you're doing regarding TA is on the right track. So we'll just take a look at sweat as well and keep moving along. Sweat actually has done something a little bit similar to what Render had done, although it spent a lot more time outside of the channel, which was quite exciting. Good to see. It did see a pickup in volume as well. I actually haven't. Need to clean up these charts a little bit. When we saw this pump here, we can actually see what's happened. So I've drawn a fib from the low to the high, which brings up where we could retrace to. And it's tapped the golden pocket, come up, tested the 618, and then just mooned. But interestingly, it stopped dead on the 786. And that's a macro 786. I'll show you where it's drawn from. So that fib is drawn from Jan, from the start of the year, right through until June when we hit our low. Daily might be easier. So after a big pump like that, it's natural to expect a retrace, and it's actually been holding on to a lot of its gains. What we don't want to see is any significant closes below these levels. So we'll say the candle closes is probably the most important. We don't want to see any daily candles closing below 1.15 cents. So as long as we stay above there on a daily time frame, there's no reason why this momentum isn't going to continue and be healthy and sustained. That's what I do like about the sweat chart. Whilst it hasn't really had any major corrections, it also hasn't been pumping hard. Aside from this big pump that it had last week, that's its first major pump that I've seen it have, where a huge amount of volumes come in, and it's done massive gains in a single candle. Besides that, it's been just grinding up, which is good. I much prefer it grinding up than a massive single pump, because as we've seen with throughout the year with many coins, XRP rings a bell, ADA rings a bell as well. Whenever they've had a massive single candle pump, they typically retrace the entire candle, and they don't hold on to the gains. So to see Sweat holding on to at least 50% of the gains here is quite nice to see. Next year is going to be exciting, in my opinion. They just need to get their trade feature sorted out. So Nia is looking quite good. What have I got drawn here? All right. So I've got three fibs overlaying each other here. I might delete this one actually so we can see what's going on. These fibs here, where you see the ends ending there, is on a daily time frame drawn from this low, which is the retrace from this high to the current high. And we can see in the big dump on Monday, came all the way down, hit the 618, and has got a great reaction since. This bullish momentum is likely to continue by the looks of things. We can, I think I did touch on this last time we caught up. Might have been in the public catch up actually. I don't think we're going to get over this $2.80 mark before the end of year. And I actually think that that might be where we will start to see a bit of a retrace, a deeper retrace than $2. It could, we can actually do a little projection here. I'll delete that one. So if we go to $2.80, we could see a deeper retrace down to $1.90 or even down lower to $1.67. I'd probably be more inclined to say the 618. It's just that's where it seems to like to get rejected from and also get support from and bounce from. It's been pretty much just going straight up since it made its low back in October. So to see a retrace would be good, like a deeper corrective retrace. I don't think we're going to be making another low. Although on a weekly time frame, this is still just a lower high at this point in time till it does break above $2.80. But yeah, I think we just got to look at the holistic view of alts at the moment, and they're out of their bear market, they're into their bull market. So the likelihood of making new lows for 90% of them is now off the table. It's buy the dip opportunities, in my opinion, whenever they come about. The one thing though with alts, like it does seem a long way away, these levels down here from where it is right now, but Bitcoin dominance is still going up for now. It is coming towards the end of that time because it is transitioning into making lower highs and lower lows. But there's no confirmation on that just yet. So we still need to treat the Bitcoin dominance as if it's still in an uptrend, in which case when Bitcoin falls, alts are going to fall harder, which will get us hopefully into these entry zones down here. But NIA is one I'm very keen on for the bull run. Quite excited for it. I think I did put out some projections. They were quite large in their range. I think there was $40 to $60, somewhere around there. So whether you're getting in at $2.50, $3, or $1.60, you might have some more near. But when it's trading up at around $40 or plus, you're not going to really care too much whether you got in at $2.80 or $1.50 or whatever it might be, because you're making some significant gains on what you've put into it. Obviously, that's my opinion on where it's going. Others will have their own opinions, but yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. And I think, I will just say a couple things. I have started bagging up some more alts. What can I get out of this? So HDN, Hydronet, orders a hit. FON, orders a hit. Those bags are nearly full. Pyth, I've actually cancelled my order at 0.3. I think it's going to go lower. Excuse me. I will do a post updating about that and where I'm going to be placing my orders for Pyth. Uni is getting close. Atom, I think, can get there. Vet, I'm a bit sketchy whether it's going to get down to that level or not. Same as MX, I'm not sure whether those orders are going to get hit. And if they don't get there, I'm happy to just cut them. I don't need to have bags of hundreds of different alts. I'm happy with getting the ones that come down to the levels that I want to get into the alts at. Nia, I think I definitely want to get a bag of Nia. That's one that I'm not going to necessarily wait. I have started buying very small amounts. I haven't bought any substantial amounts just yet because I am waiting for it to come down to those levels that we sort of looked at, where I will be a big buyer if it does get there. Otherwise, I'll just continue to just buy small amounts of Nia. Yeah, and we'll just see how things go. I was glad that I sold 5% of my Bitcoin at 44.2 the other week. So yeah, well, I might bag up some more Bitcoin if the 40K level continues to hold, and it looks like that we're going to be potentially closing the month over 42.3K. I'll be looking to get that 5% of profits, or 5% of that sale of Bitcoin back into the market pretty quickly if that is the case. So I think that probably draws us to a close for this catch up for this session. Want to thank everyone for their support over the last few months that we've been running the premium. It's definitely been a bit of an up and down slope, but I hope that there's benefits to you guys watching, and that your trading skills and understandings have been improved. And most of all, enjoy the break that's coming up. If you get some time off and spending time with family, very important to make sure that you do get to spend time with them and cherish those moments. So I'll be doing that. And yeah, we'll probably catch up in the new year.